Hey, what's going on everyone? It's Daggy again, back with finally yet another Disney Lorcana video. Now this video is not necessarily a card of the day video. We've gotten some new cards recently, very quickly. I have the time today to record some videos, and in today's video, I actually just wanted to kind of show the new cards that we received and just kind of briefly go over them. I might do a more in-depth card of the day for some of the cards or certain ones or whatnot, but I just wanted to at least put them out here because these cards weren't shown on, say, Twitter or some online article or magazine or, website or something like that, right? These were shown initially in the French Discord, well, 3 of them, and for Lorcana, the French Discord for Lorcana, and then we got the English versions of them in the Lorcana HQ Discord, which is, I think, the biggest Lorcana Discord. So that's been really cool. We do have technically 6 new cards, but 2 of those cards we have seen already, and those would be Iago, Loudmouth Parrot, and Timon, Grub Rustler. I did a video on Timon already, but we got the full versions of these cards, and the stats that I gave Timon are correct in the video. He actually does have 2 willpower. I do that a lot. He has 2 willpower, and he quests for 1 lore, and his ability does heal any character when he comes into play. Iago exerts himself to give Reckless to a chosen character, which is pretty cool, and he also quests for 1 lore if that's something, you wanted to do with him. Those ones we've seen, right? We've seen Iago, we've seen Timon. This video is going to be on the 4 other cards we've received this week. So first up, just the other day, we got our first Genie card, and this is Genie on the Job. Now, this Genie, as you can see, is an Emerald card. He costs 6 ink, but he's not inkable, so he cannot be placed into your inkwell. He has 3 strength, 4 willpower, and he does quest for 2 lore. He has 2 abilities, or 1.5 abilities, I guess. He has evasive, which is really cool. I think it's very fitting for the Genie, because, he's like an incorporeal, Genie. But also, it's the first time we've seen evasive on an Emerald card. We have one for Amethyst, we have a couple for Ruby, and now we have one for Emerald. So hopefully we'll see some evasive characters for the other colors, but we'll see, we'll see. Now, he does have one really good ability, and I'm very excited about it. It's called Disappear, and it reads, when you play this character, you may return chosen character to their player's hand. So, I should also mention, he's a super rare, so he has like the same rarity as, say, Robin Hood. Robin Hood is also a super rare card. It might be a little more difficult to obtain, but you don't necessarily need a playset of the Genie. There might be some decks where you do run a playset of the Genie. He's a very good tempo card in the sense that when you do play him on, say, your turn 5 or turn 6, like say if he had some ramp or whatever, he definitely has a really big impact on the board. I should note that he also is a I am not going to lose this turn type of card. He does allow you to stay in the game. Your opponent could be threatening victory with all of the characters they have on the table, but if you're able to do some challenging and then you play Genie, bounce one of their characters, say with like the most lore, back into their hand, you're now still in the game. Very handy. It's very good. I was actually really excited to see this because in my video for potential mechanics, which I did like about a week ago, I talked about bounce mechanics, and I provided some examples from Duel Masters, because if you haven't seen the video, I took a lot of inspiration from Duel Masters and put it to Lorcana, because a lot of Lorcana mechanics seem to be very similar to Duel Masters, almost in a 1-for-1. Not just mechanics, but cards and stuff too. You'd have to watch the video. I explain my reasoning. But bouncing cards or returning a character from the table to their owner's hand was something that I really wanted to see. And we have that in Lorcana, and not only in Lorcana, but on a character that can essentially freely quest for 2 lore. Now, there are characters out there who can deal with the Genie. Robin Hood is one example. Robin Hood is able to challenge the Genie. So if your opponent, plays Genie, bounces one of your characters on your next turn, ideally, You could play Robin Hood, you know, maybe draw a card, maybe if you're lucky, but Robin Hood has 4 strength and 4 willpower. He is able to not only challenge this evasive Genie, because Robin Hood gains like conditional evasive on your turn, so he can challenge evasive characters. So not only could he challenge Genie, but he would survive. Genie could only do 3 damage back to Robin Hood's 4 willpower. So that's pretty good. So theoretically, a Robin Hood could take out 2 Genies, because you'd have to realize your opponent's probably not going to play a second Genie and target your Robin Hood. Not only would you get your Robin Hood back into your hand, he would be healed because all that damage disappears. Ideally, when you play him, you'd be able to draw another card. It just depends on, you know, opponent's hand size and whatnot. Genie also gets taken out by the 6-drop Tigger. Tigger has the same stats as Robin Hood with his 4 strength and 4 willpower. He does take 2 hits from Goofy, but a Goofy could also take him out. They would just trade, right? And of course, you have Simba, who would not only take out Genie, but survive. He could take out 2 Genies. I'm sure he'd be defeated, but he could take 2 of them out. And then we have the 8-cost Mickey Mouse, Brave Little Tailor, who could also challenge and take out the Genie. You do just want to play the Genie, get that effect off, and then maybe quest for 2 or 4 lore, you know, at that point in the game. There are a lot of decks that just can't handle the Genie. Right now, Amethyst and Amber, that's a deck combination that really can't do anything they can't do anything to Genie. They can't target him with removal because we don't have any removal, and they don't have any characters that can challenge the Genie except for Pascal. But unless your opponent somehow has all 4 Pascal in play at the same time and then somehow just chooses to attack your Genie with it, I mean, I don't think that's going to happen in any way, shape, or form. But I have to put it out there. It is a possibility. But overall, like, he's a good card. He is very good. I've been playing testing with him. I absolutely fell in love with him when he came out. I thought he was really, really good. He's a very good tempo card. He does compete with, like, Lady Tremaine for the 6-cost slot in Emerald right now, and they both are uninkable. So that's a little rough. It's probably like one or the other, or maybe 2 Lady Tremaine and 2 Genie. But if you are playing a deck that doesn't have a lot of uninkable cards in it, like very low amount, I'd say like maybe 10 or less, I think 4 copies of the Genie isn't a bad play, especially if your curve or like your characters are at a lower amount, right? Maybe your highest cost character is only like a 5 or a 6. You can get to 5 or 6 resources, right? And then you don't have to play anymore. You're able to play your characters, you know, once per turn or whatever. You probably can get to that point every turn because you're able to ink something every turn. And then on turn 6, being able to play Genie is not a bad idea. And he gets a body on the field and he returns something to the owner's hand. It could be your stuff. It could be your opponent's stuff. Ideally, it is your opponent's stuff. Maybe your opponent plays a Mulan, and then on your turn, it's turn 6, you put your 6 resource in, you play your Genie, force them to pick up their Mulan. They've now lost tempo. Their turn 5 play technically didn't happen. So on their next turn, they either have to put Mulan back down and have maybe 1 extra resource, or they could ink something and then play another card, like a Tigger or you know, another 6-cost unit or whatever. It's very good, right? Your opponent could also then play Dragonfire. If they do that, like if you bounce your opponent's Mulan and on their next turn they play Dragonfire, which this has happened to me, then they're not playing anything. That's like their turn 6. They're not doing anything else. They spent all their whole turn to just get rid of your Genie. And to be fair, Genie is pretty difficult to take care of with his evasive body. Now, yeah, there are a lot of a lot of Ruby cards that can deal with him, but you got to draw into them and whatnot, right? But my opponent just wasted his turn. Not necessarily wasted, but he didn't build up any board. He just had a couple characters in play, then he plays Dragonfire, and my Genie's gone, but I have other characters in play. It's like, is it a fair trade? I don't know. I feel like I'm up on tempo. I think he's good. I definitely would recommend giving him a try. He definitely makes Emerald a little better. I would say it definitely makes Emerald a little better. And I like him. I like him quite a lot. Let's move on though. I can do a deep dive later, like deeper dive or whatever, but I like him. Genie's a good card. So I'm going to put the other 3 cards up on the screen right now. These 3 cards we just got today. you can see that we have Archimedes, highly educated owl, Rafiki, mysterious sage, and Beast, Wolfsbane. Now, again, these were cards that were shown in the Lorcana Discord. I'll go over each one separately. Some won't take as long as others. So I'm just going to knock out the first one, which is Archimedes, highly educated owl. So Archimedes is an amethyst card. He costs 1 ink, and he is inkable, which again means he can be placed into your inkwell. He has 2 strength, 2 willpower, and he quests for 1 lore. He has no abilities, and he's common. I am honestly surprised to see Archimedes. And you might be thinking, well, you know, Steggy, the 3 of the other colors have a 1 cost 2/2. And you're right, they most definitely do. We have Amber's Stitch New Dog, we have Sapphire's Flounder, and we have Ruby's Sergeant Tibbs. But Amethyst already has 2 1-drop characters. Amethyst has Pascal with Evasive, who's probably one of the best cards, if not the best card in the whole set so far. Maybe. And then we also have Olaf, who is a 1-cost character with 1 strength and 3 willpower. He's very unique. And I was under the assumption that those 2 cards were going to be like... Oh, and I should know, I can't believe I forgot this. We have Maleficent, 1-cost Maleficent. She's not inkable, but she can quest for 2. That's very unusual, especially on a 1-drop, right? Not the questing for 2 isn't unusual, but on a 1-drop it is. And with that in mind, it's like, we're getting another 1-drop? With Archimedes, I'm led to believe now that we're going to have a 1-drop 2/2, 2 strength, 2 willpower character in all colors. I mean, we only have, what colors do we have? Emerald? Emerald doesn't have one. Oh, Steel has Goons. I forgot about Goons. I'm sorry. So, yeah, it's just Emerald. So we'll probably see a 1-cost 2/2 in all colors. It might be Emperor Cusco, but who knows? Probably not. It's not going to be Emperor Cusco. You know, I am just surprised to see him, I suppose. But it just solidifies that we're going to see a 1-cost 2/2. I think he definitely adds more strength to a Stitch deck. If you're going to run Amber and Amethyst, you now have access to another low-cost character that you can just put into play for 1 resource and draw a card. I think that's going to be pretty good. Because that adds 4 cards just for Amethyst in the 1-drop slot. If you max those out, that's, 16 cards. And that's not counting all of the 1-drop cards we have, for, say, Amber. We have, 3 of them? We have Timon, Hey, and Stitch. That's another 12. I mean, it's good. You're going to be able to flood the board. So I think he's really going to do well in that type of deck. But, I think it's a playstyle preference if you prefer him over, say, like Olaf or Maleficent or something like that, right? So it is what it is. He's a 1-drop 2/2, but I think he actually has a secret strength and he could be in a Stitch deck. Something I would look out for sure. I think he just adds more strength to that deck, and I don't know. We'll see what happens. So next up, I do want to talk about Rafiki, Mysterious Sage. Rafiki is an Amethyst card, just like Archimedes. He costs 3 ink, but he's not inkable. So again, he cannot be placed into your inkwell. He has 3 strength, 3 willpower, and 1 lore. And he has probably my favorite ability, and he has Rush. He has Rush as a keyword on him. That is... it's really good. I'm really excited to see this. The fact that he's not inkable isn't a huge deal because there are so many really good inkable Amethyst cards. Off the top of my head, the only non-inkable or uninkable card I can think of for Amethyst that you'd probably be playing is the 1-drop Maleficent. And outside of that, basically every other card is inkable. So being able to play him is very handy. Now, the thing is, there are a lot of really good 3-cost Amethyst cards. You have Elsa, you have Maleficent, Sorceress, who can draw you a card, and you also have Wardrobe. And it's weird for me to mention Wardrobe, but Wardrobe's really good. Wardrobe's a really good card. Wardrobe can challenge into Rafiki and survive. So, and Wardrobe is probably the best Friends on the Other Side singer right now. So, I think that's pretty good. I think we have to look at Rafiki in a different way. Rafiki is kind of like a removal card for Amethyst. That's a way you're going to have to think about it. Captain Hook, Forceful Duelist, is also kind of a removal, kind of. He's a 1-cost that can turn into 3 strength, which is pretty good. That's a really good stats for, strength value. You definitely want to use him to take out, higher costed characters, ideally those 2-drop or 3-drop characters, so you get the most value out of him. So that's kind of his main goal, is to challenge and banish something. That's kind of what Rafiki is going to be used for as well. When you put him down, you're going to want to be doing some challenging. So he might not necessarily come down on your 3rd turn. However, now with him in the game, if your opponent is playing Amethyst and he has, or she has, they have 3 or more resources in play, you have to know now that if you quest with anything that has 3 or less willpower, it could be taken out by Rafiki. So he is essentially a removal card. He is a removal spell card, but on a body. He could survive, a hit. Like, for example, your opponent on their 2nd turn could play something like Minnie Mouse or Donald Duck or whatever, 2-cost characters that have 2 strength, Aurora, Aladdin, whatever. And Rafiki could challenge into them and survive, right? Which would allow him to then deal 3 damage to something else. So a good trade. So he does trade very well into 3-cost characters, or 2-cost characters, I'm sorry. He does still lose to Captain Hook though, which, it is what it is, but you're probably going to be running him into an exerted character as like a surprise thing. So he does combo very well with Elsa. You could, on your 3rd turn, play Elsa. On your 4th turn, you have your resources available and an unexerted Elsa available. If your opponent quested on their turn, or even if they didn't quest, Elsa can exert something, and then you can play Rafiki and then banish that character, ideally, with Rafiki and, get him off the field. So, pretty handy. It's pretty handy. I do like him. I like him quite a bit. He is also uncommon. I can't believe I mentioned this late. So he's not going to be too difficult to obtain. But I'm absolutely really excited to see Rush on a character. I am surprised to see Rush on an Amethyst character, but I do think he is going to be Amethyst's version of a removal card. Sure, there's not like interaction, but combined with, say, Elsa, you're able to challenge unexerted characters, I suppose, by using Elsa to exert them, and then using your Rafiki to take them out. We already have seen how strong Elsa is in combination with cards like Jafar, or if you're playing Ruby, you can also play Scar as another example. Elsa can exert something, and then these characters like Scar, like Jafar, can take out those exerted characters. Your opponent's unexerted characters aren't necessarily safe with an Elsa in play. And now with Rafiki, now their unexerted characters can be hit with a surprise. So I really like him. I think he's really good, and I definitely think he'll see play for sure. And finally, the 3rd card we saw released is, of course, Beast Wolfsbane. Now, Beast is an emerald card. He costs 5 ink, and he's not inkable, so he can't be placed into your inkwell. He has 4 strength, 4 willpower, and he quests for 2 lore. He has like 1.5 abilities. His first one is Rush, so it's awesome to see Rush on another character, especially a different color character. So we have one for Emerald and one for Amethyst now. And he has, one good ability. It's called Roar. Roar says, when you play this character, exert all opposing damage characters. He's also a legendary. I should note that he is a legendary card, so he might be pretty difficult to obtain. I will say his art's really nice though. This is some really nice art. I should note, I also liked Rafiki's art. Actually, I really like the art for all the cards. Now that I sit here and look at them all, they're really good. But he's really good. He's a really good card. He is right now in a vacuum. He's a bit situational. However, we did see an image of him in, I believe it's the treasure trove that you can obtain. In there is like a big pamphlet or a rule book, and there's a section for combos, and we saw like a leaked picture of it, but it was so blurry that we couldn't really tell what it said. But it did have a picture of Beast, this Beast, and it had a picture of a Tinkerbell, a Floodborn Tinkerbell card. And it said, like, together they do some sort of combo. We're thinking that the Tinkerbell deals damage to, like, opposing characters, either when she is challenged, or when she challenges and, say, banishes something, or whatever. Something involving a challenge, she damages opposing characters. So maybe she deals, like, 1 damage to all of your opponent's characters. If that's the case, you could do something like that with Tinkerbell and then play Beast, exert all of those characters, and then Beast is able to challenge those exerted characters now that are already damaged. Since most characters have around, especially later in the game, around say 5 willpower, Beast is able to take out the majority of cards in play with his 4 strength. Now, his 4 willpower will probably allow him to survive an attack, but there are some characters that will take him out, like Simba, for example, or maybe even like a Robin Hood as well. There's a few others, but some cards won't. Some cards will, you know, like Aurora or Stitch, they won't be able to take him out. But if they did take 1 damage, then Beast would be able to take them out, you know, in return. I think that's pretty good. I think it's a very solid card. I do think it's very interesting that he has the exact same stats as his Steel counterpart. His Steel counterpart is also a 5 cost character that has 4 strength, 4 willpower, and also quest for 2 lore. But that card is inkable and only an uncommon, whereas this card is not inkable and is also, you know, legendary, so pretty difficult to obtain. I think he's pretty solid. Again, it's kind of a vacuum thing. We need to see more abilities that say damage characters, because right now it's kind of like all or nothing. Like if you challenge into something, you're gonna try to take it out in 1 hit. You know, your characters might have some damage on them in return. And, you know, as a super rare, I'm really hoping we see his ability on an action card. That'd be really nice. Maleficent Monstrous Dragon, her ability, and she is a legendary as well, but Maleficent's Monstrous Dragon's ability is also an action card. So hopefully we see an ability or an action card that does allow us to exert our opponent's characters without having to rely on a 5 cost emerald legendary card, right? That's I don't like that. I don't like that a lot. You know, it is what it is. Again, it's a vacuum. We need to see more cards. So these are the new cards shown, right? Just giving brief thoughts. I think Genie is actually a really good card. Very good tempo card. I definitely think he'll see play in Emerald decks. Maybe not everyone, maybe not, because again, Lady Tremaine is the same cost and is also an inkable. Archimedes is definitely going to be seen in Stitch decks, where the other color is Amethyst. So, because again, it's another 1 cost that can be exerted for you to draw a card. So he's not bad. I think he's better than the other 1-drops, except for, you know, Stitch. I meant the other 1-drop 2/2 cards, but I think he's solid. He definitely adds more strength to that deck. Rafiki, I think is going to make an impact on the game for sure. There is a card in Duel Masters. He was a rush attacker. He came out a little later, but he was also a 3-cost character who could attack right away. And that was really good. For only 3 resources, that was super good. And seeing this on Rafiki, he's gonna make play. He's gonna be played. Yeah, I think he's gonna be really good. And you know, Beast Wolfsbane, that's difficult to say. Again, we need a good combo card to pair with him, but Rush is still really good. Even without his ability, a 5-cost character with 4 strength, 4 willpower that can challenge as soon as it's played. I think that's really good. That's really solid. And he might see play just because of that reason, but might get better, you know, when we get more combo cards. So it's a weird thing. I want to give him the benefit of the doubt. I don't think he's bad at all, but we do need to see some sort of like deal damage, you know, to more characters type of thing so he can really shine. But yeah, these are the new cards that were shown this week. You know, really excited. I wanted to show everybody, you know, what the cards were, kind of give my thoughts on them. I still might do a card of the day here and there. I actually might record one after this. Otherwise, yeah, you know, thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed these cards. I know I did. I think they're great. We're probably going to start seeing some cards more often. I think we're going to start, the reveals are going to start ramping up. Gen Con is not that far away. We have like, what, a month and a half? It's super close. It's going to be like beginning of August. We're already halfway through June. Basically 1 full month left. Month and a half, right? And we're gonna see all the cards. So I like seeing the cards, and I'm really excited to see what we have in the future. So, but hey, thanks for watching. I appreciate it. I'm gonna try to quickly edit this and get it up there for people to see today. Again, thanks for watching. I appreciate it. Let me know what card you think is your favorite. I'm a huge fan of Genie right now. Of these 4, I like the Genie, with Rafiki being a close second. Those are probably, you know, my 2 favorites. So thanks for watching. I appreciate it. You stay safe out there. Make good decisions. I'll see you in the next one. Bye.